Welcome to the Bookworm Duo, where we explore a variety of books. Today we review a romance book. Let's get started.
All right, so get ready for Never by Jessa Hastings, this romance novel. Well, it takes a unique spin on the classic Peter Pan story.
Yeah, you're telling me. A family legend where a mysterious Never Boy whisks away the women of a specific bloodline at age 13 to Neverland? I mean, that's not your typical romance trope.
Not at all. And Hastings weaves in some, really interesting themes about fate growing up and the allure of the unknown, all set against this fantastical Neverland backdrop.
Okay, so the story starts with Daphne, our protagonist. She's 17, about to head off to university, and pretty skeptical of this whole Never Boy legend. She thinks it's just a fantastical tale her grandmothers have been telling her.
Until one night, well, the Neverboy actually appears. Talk about a rude awakening.
Right, and guess what? The Never Boy is Peter Pan, but not the eternally youthful figure we're used to. He's much older, and seems a bit surprised that Daphne doesn't instantly recognize him.
It's almost as if he's used to, being adored by everyone, which makes Daphne's skepticism even more intriguing. She's not easily swayed by his charm, at least not at first.
Yeah, I can see why. A magical flying boy suddenly appearing in your room, claiming to be Peter Pan. I mean, it's a lot to process.
Especially when he starts asking her about things like sexy and doesn't understand why she has a poster of Mick Jagger on her wall. He's clearly out of touch with the modern world.
So, despite her initial hesitation, Daphne ends up flying off to Neverland with Peter. They travel through a black hole, which Peter assures her won't sting, thanks to a little chat he had with it.
Yeah.
Apparently, even black holes can be persuaded.
That's Peter Pan for you, always bending the rules of reality. But this journey is just the beginning of a wild ride for Daphne.
Absolutely. Upon arriving in Neverland, she has to go through this strange bag check where she literally sheds her emotional baggage. It's a pretty literal way of leaving behind the weight of her past.
It's a clever way to introduce the theme of emotional freedom. By shedding her baggage, Daphne is opening herself up to the possibilities and dangers of Neverland.
Speaking of danger, they then head to the Lost Boys treehouse, where Daphne meets John, Michael, and the twins, Kinley and Percival.
The Lost Boys are all younger than Peter and seem to idolize him, which makes me wonder about the power dynamics at play here.
Good point. It highlights Peter's charisma and influence,
Yeah.
but also raises questions about his maturity and responsibility.
Exactly. And as Daphne soon discovers, Neverland is not all fun and games. There are real dangers lurking beneath the surface.
Like when Daphne accidentally falls from the sky and lands right in front of Jameson Hook. Talk about an entrance.
And what an introduction to Hook. He's
Thank you.
rugged, handsome, and there's an intensity to him that immediately sets him apart from Peter.
He's also incredibly observant. He notices things about Daphne that even Peter misses, like her fear and the way she holds herself back.
It's clear there's an instant connection between them, a spark that's very different from the, playful, sometimes superficial dynamic she has with Peter.
And that spark only intensifies as Daphne continues to explore Neverland. She encounters fairies, mermaids, and even a terrifying monster called a crocata.
These encounters really highlight the duality of Neverland. It's a place of wonder and magic, but also danger and darkness.
Life in the treehouse is a constant adventure. Daphne goes on foraging trips with Rye, learns about the history of Neverland, and witnesses Peter's often reckless behavior.
That recklessness is a recurring theme. Peter is constantly seeking thrills and excitement, and he doesn't always consider the consequences of his actions.
Right, like when he decides to participate in the Blood Tide Games,
Yeah.
a brutal competition where contestants face dangerous creatures and fight for survival.
The Blood Tide Games are a major turning point in the story. They force us to confront the reality that even in a place like Neverland, there are consequences and darkness. It's a far cry from the carefree adventures we might associate with, Peter Pan.
Definitely. And as Daphne spends more time with Peter, their relationship starts to deepen. They share some intimate moments. But his inconsistency and tendency to disappear for days without explanation starts to wear on her.
It's that, classic push and pull dynamic.
Yeah.
Peter draws her in, then pushes her away, leaving Daphne feeling confused and insecure. It makes you wonder if he's truly capable of offering the kind of, love and stability she craves.
Especially when you contrast it with her growing bond with Hook. They spend time together, talking, exploring Neverland. And their connection grows stronger. He offers a stability and understanding that Peter seems to lack.
And Hook seems to see Daphne for who she is, not just as Wendy or another girl to, entertain Peter. He challenges her intellectually and makes her feel safe, which is a stark contrast to Peter's often flighty and self-centered behavior.
And that growing bond between Daphne and Hook doesn't go unnoticed. Peter becomes possessive and jealous, threatening to hurt anyone who gets close to Daphne.
That possessiveness reveals a much darker side to Peter. He's used to getting what he wants, and he doesn't like the idea of Daphne having, other connections.
Things come to a head when Peter betrays Daphne's trust, and she flees to Hook for solace. It's a heartbreaking moment that forces her to confront her feelings and the reality of her relationship with Peter.
It's a pivotal moment in the story. Daphne realizes that Peter, despite his charm, might not be the person she wants to be with. The idealized image of Peter Pan starts to crumble, revealing a flawed and often selfish individual.
And just when you think things couldn't get more complicated, Hastings throws in a bombshell.
Oh, you mean the family secret connecting Hook and Peter?
Exactly. It's a revelation that adds a whole new layer of complexity to the story, challenging Daphne's understanding of both men and forcing her to reevaluate everything she thought she knew.
It's a brilliant twist that really throws a wrench into the love triangle and leaves you wondering who Daphne can truly trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a classic case of the more you know, the less you understand. Suddenly the lines between hero and villain, well, they become blurred, and Daphne is left to navigate this tangled web of relationships and secrets.
Yeah, it's definitely a turning point for her. And as the story progresses, she faces even more danger as Peter's actions become, increasingly reckless. He's so consumed by his own desires that he doesn't seem to care about the consequences.
That recklessness really comes to a head during the Blood Tide games. Peter's desire to win, to prove himself. Well, it puts Daphne in harm's way. It makes you question whether his love for her is genuine or simply a matter of possession.
Right. He wants her by his side, but on his terms. And then comes the ultimate betrayal. Daphne overhears a conversation between Hook and another pirate. It shatters her trust in him.
Oh, that conversation is like a punch to the gut. It reveals a side of Hook that Daphne never expected, and it leaves her feeling completely lost and disillusioned.
It's a harsh reminder that even in a magical place like Neverland, words can wound deeply, and sometimes those wounds are hard to heal.
Absolutely. And in her pain and confusion, Daphne makes a decision that surprised even me. She turns back to Peter, seeking solace in the familiar, even though she knows it might not be the healthiest choice.
It's such a human response, though, isn't it? When we're hurting, we often retreat to what's comfortable, even if it's not ultimately good for us.
Exactly. It's like that saying, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. But in Daphne's case, I wonder if she's really trading one devil for another.
Because Peter hasn't magically transformed into a responsible and caring partner.
Right. He's still impulsive, unpredictable, and often driven by his own desires. While he's capable of grand gestures of affection, he can also be incredibly callous and insensitive.
So Daphne might be free from the pain of her betrayal by Hook, but she's now back in a relationship that's inherently unstable and potentially dangerous.
It's almost like she's chosen a gilded cage. She's surrounded by the beauty and magic of Neverland, but at what cost? Her freedom, her emotional well-being.
And then comes the climax of the story. Peter, in a fit of jealousy and rage, confronts Hook, and Daphne is caught in the middle of this volatile clash.
It's a moment of truth for all three characters. They're forced to face their own desires, their fears, and the consequences of their choices.
And in the midst of this chaos, a startling truth is revealed about Hook's feelings for Daphne. It's a revelation that turns everything on its head and leaves Daphne reeling.
It's a reminder that even in the most fantastical of settings, love can be messy and unpredictable. Sometimes the heart wants what the mind knows is wrong.
And in the end, Daphne makes a decision that left me with so many mixed emotions. She chooses to stay in Neverland with Peter, but with a catch. She erases all memories of Hook.
That's a heavy choice. On one hand, she's choosing to protect herself from further heartbreak. But on the other hand, she's erasing a part of herself, a part that experienced deep connection and vulnerability.
It's almost as if she's trying to rewrite her own story, to create a happy ending by force. But I kept wondering, is ignorance truly bliss in this case? Or is it a form of self-deception, a way of avoiding the complexities of real love and loss?
That's the brilliance of Hastings' writing. She doesn't offer easy answers. She leaves us with a bittersweet resolution that raises more questions than it answers. We're left to ponder the implications of Daphne's choice and what it means for her future.
So what does it all mean? Did Daphne make the right decision? Is forgetting Hook the key to her happiness in Neverland?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? She's chosen the familiar, the comfort of Peter's presence, but she's also chosen to erase a significant part of her emotional experience. It's a decision that could bring her peace, or it could lead to a different kind of heartbreak.
I guess we'll never know for sure unless Hastings decides to write a sequel.
I wouldn't be surprised if she did. There's so much potential for exploring the aftermath of Daphne's choice and how it shapes her life in Neverland.
Imagine the emotional turmoil. If those memories of Hook came flooding back, would she regret her decision? Would she seek him out, even if it meant defying Peter and risking everything?
It's certainly a tantalizing thought, but even without a sequel, the ending of Never leaves us with a lot to consider.
It's a reminder that even in a place like Neverland, life is messy, love is complicated, and the choices we make have lasting consequences.
And sometimes the most difficult choice is not between right and wrong, but between two different kinds of heartbreak.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes you think, is Daphne's choice a form of escapism or is it empowerment? By erasing her memories, is she avoiding pain or is she taking control of her narrative, choosing the story she wants to live?
That's such a fascinating point because on the surface, it seems like she's giving up a part of herself, a part that experienced, real love and heartbreak. But maybe by choosing to forget, she's also choosing to define happiness on her own terms.
Right.
It's a reminder that happiness isn't a one-size-fits-all concept. What brings joy to one person might be a source of pain for another. And ultimately, Daphne's decision reflects her individual journey and her understanding of what she needs to thrive, even if it means letting go of a love that brought both joy and pain.
Yeah, and it speaks to the enduring power of choice. Even in a fantastical realm like Neverland, despite the magic and the whimsy, Daphne still has agency. She still has the power to make decisions that shape her destiny, even if those decisions come with difficult consequences.
Exactly, and that's what makes Never such a compelling read. It's not just a romantic adventure. It's a story about self-discovery, about confronting difficult truths, and about learning to navigate the complexities of love and loss in a world that's both magical and messy.
It's a story that reminds us that even in Neverland, there are no easy answers, no guaranteed happy endings. It's a world where choices matter, and the path to happiness is often winding and unpredictable.
So to our listener, as you reflect on Daphne's journey, we encourage you to consider this. What does true happiness mean to you? What choices have you made in your own life that have shaped your definition of joy and fulfillment?
It's a question worth pondering, and we
That's
hope this deep dive into Never has given you some food for thought.
because even in a world of magic and make-believe, there are valuable lessons to be learned about love, loss, and the choices we make in pursuit of happiness.
Thanks for joining us. Subscribe for more bookish adventures and hit that like button if you enjoyed the ride. Don't forget to share the knowledge, spread the word.